Hi everyone, I'm Sarah from Schultz Realty. This is an episode of Realistic Real Estate with Sarah Schultz. The basis of my episodes are going to be around like variety of different things, but today I wanted to just talk about when hiring a painter. So for people who potentially are doing renovation, they want to hire a painter. This advice might be, like common sense to some, but, some people just don't realize when you're getting a quote, some things to look out for. So I thought I would just point it out as we've had a lot of experience with this, and we've also been burnt by not being so specific. So the reason I picked painting is because painting is one of those ones where when you're getting a quote, we found that some will say 2 coats of paint, some will say 3 coats of paint, but really that's about it on the quote. Now, we had an experience recently where we had the two coat quote, and there wasn't really a lot else on the quote, and it ended up being a bit of a shabazzle. So some of the things that I want to point out that we didn't have on the quote that we should have is perhaps it should have been painted to a professional finish rather than 2-3 coats. It's painted to a professional finish. They'd come in, they knew what paint they were going over, they knew what paint we were going with, so they should be quoting to a quality of professional finish, meaning it's finished. So whether that takes them 2 coats, whether it takes them 3 coats is irrelevant to the client. It's just that it's done to a professional finish. Secondly, we had paint all over our glass, all over our aluminium. We had it on our tiles. We had it on the floor. We had it on pretty much everything you could possibly imagine. The cleanup was astronomical, not to mention just so disappointing. It took us 3 days pretty much of cleaning with methylated spirits and cleaning tools and all sorts of stuff just to get all the paint off, which a person should not have to do after someone has come through. Again, was it the fault of ours? Did it say anything on the quote? No, it didn't. So my advice would be to add to the quote as well that, the property is left in a professional condition. That means, and notes on there that, if they do get any paint on anything within the property, that it is cleaned up by them, not by you. Because we shouldn't have to clean up that kind of stuff. That's not right. They didn't tape properly. They didn't put down, the mats properly, and the impact was huge. And I'm not just talking a little bit, I'm talking a lot. The other one, and there's probably a lot of painters out here who are like really professional. You guys do this run of the mill and that's so good, but there's also others that, whether it was just unlucky or whatever, where this wasn't done for us. It was, I just didn't want to, I don't want to debate. I don't want to argue with trades. I'm not interested in doing that. I want a positive response. So yes, we could have fought on some of those things, but that's just not who I am. I wanted to just move on. But I wanted to give advice to other people because I feel like we were at fault as well for not getting a thorough scope of works as far as it goes. Like they'll give you a basic quote. You need to go back and go, okay, we need to make sure it's covering the fact that it's a professional finish regardless of how many quotes, that it's covering the 2 colors of paint, that it's covering that you've gone in and assessed, and if any patching or painting, patching or sanding or anything else is necessary before you're painting, that's covered in the quote. The undercoat's covered in the quote. Whatever it is that you want from the job, it has to be on the quote. That if there is any cleanup, if there's any paint on anything that is, cleaned up. I just think it's so important. It ended up taking us 7 whole days to fix the job of a professional painter that we paid over $4,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. And in hindsight, that was the other thing. There were other quotes that were, say, $500 or $600 more that had more detail, and I did the wrong thing because I went with the cheaper one, not thinking about those things. So we probably would have not had that problem with the other quote for the sake of $500, which I would pay $500 any day, than having to do, like we had to do all the cutting in. All the cutting in was not done properly. So the 2 colors were not cut in properly. We had to do cutting in on the whole entire house. So we pretty much should have just painted it ourselves, to be honest. In the instance that we had was quite horrific. I hope nobody else ever has to go through that again. So I just feel like if I can give anyone advice, painting has been one we usually do ourselves, to be honest. This is like one of the rare times that we actually outsourced, and we've learnt the hard way, and I just don't want anyone else to ever go through. So professional finish, not about coat, that they leave it in a neat and tidy condition, that there is no paint on anything, as well as in like any windows or aluminium frames or tiles or anything like that, and that they've cut in properly. That it is left, like I said, professional finish, perhaps the scope of works that, you know, that they have come in, that they have seen the condition of the property. Their job is quoted to be done in a professional finish, including all of the cleanup, including all of the setup, including all of the taping, including all of the drop sheets, including the paint, including the labor, just basically like list every single thing, like every single detail, so that there's no room for error. I really hope, if anything, this is the only reason I've done this, is just that I really hope it helps someone else out there. And, you know, obviously to all the professional painters out there that do a really good job without it being in their scope of works, I'm not referring to you, but obviously there's always a certain amount in anything, obviously, that you can have this happen to. So I'm just sort of trying to give people a bit of a tip, really, of what to do on a quote. All right, hope I've been helpful, and I'll see you next time, because I will be doing plenty of episodes about plenty of different things, and hopefully I'm going to be helping people, because that's the whole point of it. All right, I'm Sarah from Schultz Realty. We'll talk soon.